What's up guys, and welcome to this video. 4K TVs, they're not something new, but they're something that everyone is starting to talk about and wanting to get in their homes. They have 4 times the amount of detail than a standard full HD television, but they are of course more expensive. So are they actually worth buying? So before we get into whether they're worth buying, what actually is a 4K TV? Well, a 4K TV isn't actually quite a 4K TV. It's only got 3,840 lines of pixels in one direction. Now this might not mean much to you, but essentially when you go to the cinema they can display it in 4,096 lines of pixels in one direction, but that just means that they need it to be wider. They need it to be in that 21:9 aspect ratio, whereas what you're watching on at the moment is 16:9, and that means we don't need so many pixels at either end. So we only need 3,840. So that is the standard that is caught along, and so actually this is known as ultra high definition or UHD, although TVs are still kind of known as 4K TVs, even though they're not quite 4K. So all 4K TVs will have the resolution of 3840 by 2160, and this means that there is 4 times the amount of pixels than there are on your standard Full HD TV. This means that in theory, you can get a much higher quality image, or you can sit closer to it and still retain all that detail without things becoming a bit blocky, a bit blurry, or just otherwise unpleasant. In order to get the most out of a 4K TV, you will need to actually feed it a 4K signal. So you might need to play a 4K movie, a 4K game, or of course a 4K TV show. The problem, as we'll go on to in a moment, is there isn't actually that much 4K content out there, and so a lot of the time you'll just be upscaling the content that you're already watching, either in standard definition or in high definition. And while in theory, again, this can look better than if you weren't upscaling it, it's not going to be close to the true 4K quality that you'll see when you go and look at one of these TVs at a retail show. So that's what an ultra high definition 4K TV actually is. But are they any good? Well, a 4K TV, and this is the most important thing that they probably won't tell you in the shop, relies on 2 things. Your viewing distance to the TV in relation to the TV size, as well as the content that you're viewing on it. The content is the most obvious one, and at the moment there just isn't very much. At the moment I primarily use my TV along with my gaming PC, and I can feed it some 4K gaming from that PC. But even a PC with a £400 graphics card is not enough to play all the latest titles at their maximum settings at 4K at 60 frames a second. Now, if that doesn't mean that's much to you, then that's pretty much because you probably don't really care about PC gaming. So let's talk about console gaming. Consoles, it doesn't matter what you say, the current generation of consoles will not be able to do 4K gaming. They might be able to do these tiny little indie games in the future, but at the moment, it's just not going to happen. Now this is for 2 reasons. Firstly, they just don't have enough power. If you've been following all the latest things about down res and about Watch Dogs and things like that only running at 900p or things like that, maybe you don't really care. But the point is, if they can't run 1080p Full HD, then they're not going to be able to run 4K. The other thing is, at the moment, their technical limitations mean that they can only output 4K at 30 frames a second anyway. So it's not ever going to be 4K 60 frames a second gaming on your TV, which is what your TV can display. If you're not worried about gaming at all, and which a lot of you probably are, then you might be wondering, well, can I get 4K TV shows and can I get 4K films? Well, actually at the moment the answer is yes to both of those things. There are various different ways to do this. You can download stuff online and you can view it on your TV, so things like trailers or things like that. But if you actually want some good solid content, then you can go to Amazon Prime Instant Video, or you can go through Netflix 4K, and there is actually some good stuff on there. But the ratio of 4K to UHD, no, 4K to UHD, HD to UHD content is very small. There isn't much out there. And there are currently no 4K TV channels at the moment, at least at the time of filming. And although UHD ultra high definition Blu-ray is coming, we don't know whether that's going to catch on, and we don't know whether that's going to be any good, but personally I imagine it will be. Point is, at the moment you're going to be upscaling most of your content. Even if you've got the highest end of PC, there's not really that much stuff you're going to be able to watch on your 4K TV in 4K. So you're going to be upscaling most of the time, and while this does arguably make it look better, I've been watching a lot of Game of Thrones on the Blu-ray, and it does look great, don't forget about that viewing distance. Now the viewing distance when you're viewing 4K content needs to be closer. So you either need a bigger TV or you need to sit closer to it. But the problem is, you're not going to be viewing 4K content all the time. So if you set up your room, get a big enough TV for 4K content, when you go back to HD or standard definition, then arguably your TV's too big, or of course your viewing distance is too close. So that means things aren't going to look as good as they used to. So all these things into consideration, in a perfect world, if everything you are watching was 4K, then without a shadow of a doubt, of course, go and get a 4K TV. But as I hope you've managed to realise from this ramble, things aren't that simple. So then, that's what a 4K TV is, that's what they can do, are they worth buying? Now, as I just mentioned, if everything you could do was 4K, brilliant, there wouldn't be an issue, without a shadow of a doubt, go out and get a 4K TV. But of course there are more factors to this. There's the fact that there isn't much content out there, and it's the fact that they are more expensive than their full HD counterparts. Personally, at the moment, unless you really want one, I'm kind of almost tempted to say, unless you can get one at a great price, there's no point buying a 4K TV and there's no point buying a 1080p TV either. Just because at the moment things are changing, and if you get a TV in 2 years' time, it's probably more than likely going to be a 4K TV at a reasonable price. However, you might want to buy a TV now, and if you want to know more about the TV that I have behind me, it's the Samsung 48-inch 7500, and you can find a link to that in the description below, because I didn't want to wait either. And my experiences of using a 4K TV is that personally I am actually very happy. But the main thing here is that I actually use a lot of content that is in 4K. I use a lot of Netflix 4K. I haven't yet had a chance to try Amazon Prime because it's not available, at least on this particular model of TV in the United Kingdom yet. But I have been playing a lot of games in 4K. And it does look so much better, okay? This is the main thing about 4K. At the right optimum viewing distance, things look brilliant. But I have to sit, if I can show you now, about a metre away from this 48-inch TV, really to get the main benefit of 4K. And while I'm while I'm actually viewing a TV, while I'm playing a 4K game, no idea why I couldn't say that, it's quite immersive. You can sit quite close to it and it's brilliant. But when I'm watching a TV show or a film or anything like that, I don't want to be sitting that close. So even though a 48-inch TV might seem massive to a lot of people, for 4K it's not massive. And while the optimum viewing distance for a 48-inch TV, if it's full HD, might be quite far away, a 48-inch TV is arguably too small for someone that wants the 4K experience from a decent distance. And while you might be able to see a difference, you're not going to be able to get the full benefit of 4K, and when you're paying through your nose for 4K content and of course for the TV in the first place, then it does beg the question whether it's worth it. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Let's answer the question, 4K TVs, are they worth it? Well, it's not a straightforward yes or no. I guess for videos like this it never actually is. But the main thing is that you know that if you buy a 4K TV, you're not necessarily going to get a benefit from it. If you have a smaller lounge, you want to be a bit future-proof, you spend a bit more money on a television anyway, then I would say pretty much absolutely yes, a 4K TV is worth it because you're going to be able to stream content through Netflix and Amazon Instant Video. You're going to be able to get ultra high definition Blu-ray later on in the year, at least at the time of filming. It might be a bit nearer by the time you're watching this. But if you've got a larger room, you don't really want to spend as much money on a TV as some of the more expensive TVs are. You need to realistically spend about £1,000 to get a really good big 4K TV. You can get cheaper ones, but of course they are going to be smaller. And you're going to need to make sure you're going to get a big 4K screen in order to get the full benefits from it. And of course don't forget that if you want to play 4K games, the only way to currently do that is with a gaming PC with a high definition multimedia interface 2.0 port, an HDMI 2.0 port. So with all those things considered, it very much depends on your personal circumstances. Go and look up some optimum viewing distances for 4K, get your tape measure out, and then start to do a little bit of mathematics. Not the most fun thing to do in the world, but you don't want to go out and get a 40-inch 4K TV, sit quite far away from it, and then pretend to yourself that you're seeing a distance, because realistically, I don't think that's going to happen. So thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know what you've thought of it. Has it helped your buying decision, or has it just been a load of guff? Let me know. I love that word. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought of this video. If you have any questions, then hit me up at PC Centric on Twitter, and you'll get a straightforward reply. If you're watching this on a Friday, don't forget to go big this weekend with whatever you're doing. And if you like this video, give it a like. If you dislike this video, then give it a dislike. And for anything else, like I say, hit me up on Twitter for any questions. I think that is pretty much all there is to say, really, other than, again, if you want to know more about this particular 4K TV, when I go more into the different sorts of 4K content and how good they look, and talk a bit more in detail about all of this stuff, then do hit that up. Is in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.